User. Shout outs to the intro. What up? It's me, Unk, aka Ree. Let's get to it, shall we? Before we even get to the topic, first I had to just mention, sorry for the inconvenience on episode 4. I was dealing with a new microphone. I didn't realize that it had some settings that I didn't turn off, and there was this weird echoing, and I don't know, I was just feeling a little lazy. I didn't want to re-record the whole thing all over again. So just wanted to apologize for that, So today I wanted to talk about, this one's a little bit of an interesting topic. Like today I actually wanted to talk about why we have such a weird relationship with like the memory of people after they pass. Like, think about it. There's the saying that you should never speak ill of the dead. They say you shouldn't speak on someone who's no longer here in a negative manner, and et cetera, et cetera. I totally get the saying, but at the same time, isn't it wrong to avoid or neglect some memories because we only choose to remember certain ones? This is probably how legends are. Well, to me, I think this is probably how legends that are like based on real life are created, because we choose to hold on to only the best memories and elevating these individuals who have long left us to like statures that are like beyond humanity, almost the levels of worship for some people, Like, why can't we do both? Like, elevate our fallen ones while still keeping them human. Like, listen, I'm not really trying to be all philosophical or religious on this topic. But I think there truly are some individuals that are brought into this world to deliver a message or impact the world in special ways. I like to call those people anointed ones. Like, it's almost like no matter what obstacles they're given in life, they still manage to like leave their impact or deliver their message, and then they're gone just like that, But it's funny because we as humans are more willing to immortalize a person whose life is cut short from unnatural causes, regardless if that person was an anointed individual or not. Like, we elevate them to, simply because of their potential, I guess, is the reason. Like, we elevate these people on based on potential, because we just never know what impact they could have had, like, because it was cut so short. Like, we're all elevators of potential, I believe. Like, whether that's good or bad, we're all just elevators. Anyway, the reason I brought this up today, because I wanted to do a deep dive on somebody I considered an anointed brother, Earl Simmons, better known to the world as DMX, aka X, aka Dark Man X, aka Dark Master X, or Dogman X, R.I.P. to a true legend. Hold on. Gotta give him some cheers, man. Come on, man. What are we doing? What are we doing out here, man? Yeah. R.I.P. to a true legend. But to me, he was like a true legend, not in just music, because his movies were pretty on point too. But like, to me, he was a transcendental entity that, like, he just lost the tug of war battle between with his vices, like I'd say the vice, or even like the drug known as addiction. Like, that is where he lost the battle. Like, all of this growing up, he had so much trauma in his life that he had to overcome. Like, this man had gone to prison like over 30 times in his life before he passed. But it was the addiction that actually got to him. Like, he wasn't stronger than the addiction. Anyways, Earl Simmons was born December 18th, 1970 in Mount Vernon, New York. The first and only child of Arnett Simmons and Joe Barker. X always actually hated his name. Like, he always thought it was a corny name. Like, and I kind of see why he didn't like that name, because apparently the name Earl is like, think about it. Like, the name Earl is actually kind of synonymous with slang when you're slang for throwing up from alcohol. You know, you've heard the line before, talking to Earl. Before, come on, everybody's heard talking to Earl. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure I remember like there was a Biggie line in a similar vein to that in the song 1970 something. He's like, 1970 something, nigga, I don't sweat the date. My mom's is late, so I had to plan my escape out the skins. In this world, the fly girl, Tangeray Hennessy until I call Earl. That was actually deadly. But X actually detailed in his autobiography called EARL, the autobiography of DMX. Great read, by the way. Like, very, very great read. Like, anyways, that he detailed that his mother and father were never actually close, which is why his mother didn't give him his father's last name, and it's also part of the reason. I think part of the reason might also be because his mother got pregnant with him at 19, and she had basically like lost her own mother like a year later after X had turned 1. Like, he really went through a crazy childhood. Like, he suffered from asthma. He dealt with a very, very abusive mother, a biological father that wanted nothing to do with him, essentially. Like, another excerpt from his book that really hit me emotionally. Like, this actually hit me. I was like, anyway, it goes, my mother took a few judo classes. No, no, I'm stupid. I'm sorry. That was stupid. This is actually serious. Like, I'm not gonna do the DMX voice. All right. So he said, my mother took a few judo classes too, so she was good with her hands. And whenever she got tired of beating me, she would just call another nigga over to whoop my ass. When I was 5, the guy I was named after hit me with an extension cord. His name was Earl Scott. He was the only one in the house with us at the time, and me and my sister were bored, so I dripped hot candle wax on him while he was sleeping. And when he got up, he just went crazy and started swinging on us. You're swinging on a 5-year-old? Yo, what kind of human garbage do you have to be to do something like that, you know? Like, that's a little messed up, but like extreme traumatic experiences actually tend to gravitate to people who I feel eventually become anointed ones. Like, it's almost like they need this like powerful catalyst of extremism to activate their anointed energy or set them on the path to be that which they would become, essentially. I think it's really interesting. It, like, his autobiography is a very interesting read. Like, there's another excerpt from there where he talks about why he loves dogs so much, which for me, again, hit pretty deep. Like, this whole book hit pretty deep because of the way he just like compares his own reality and trauma, even for his legacy. Like, he goes, but it was on the roof that I also started to think that I could fuck with a dog before I fucked with a person, because it seemed the more love I gave them, the more love they gave me back. And dogs didn't know betrayal. All I had to do was hug them, feed them, and I knew that I didn't have to worry about a thing, because as soon as that roof door started to crack, my dog would growl and start to protect me. It was the same way on the street. Once I got a dog to trust me, he was loyal to me and wouldn't let any harm come my way. And when I noticed everyone was scared of me anyway, how when I was with my dog, the older kids that would normally try to diss me and take advantage of me suddenly started to move away. That gave me the heart as a young nigga to deal with anything that came up in the hood. See, there's a little bitch in everybody. You just have to find it. Where's that? Most of the time, a person is more scared of a dog than they are of a gun, because if you put a gun in someone's hand who's not ready to use it or who doesn't know what he's doing with it, the gun is useless. But it's never that with a dog. Bullets go straight, but a dog will always stay on target. A dog will look at you and say, I'm gonna kill you. And if the master says so, will chase you around for hours. A dog is gonna chase you through buildings, across streets, over cars. Hit the fence, the dog got you on your leg. Turn the corner and bust your ass, it's over. Growing up in the hood, by myself, without my dog, I probably would have been taken advantage of. would have been forced to snap or wild out on niggas to get any respect. But with my dog, the respect came a lot easier, and that changed everything. I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. Like, as I'm reading the excerpt, just like the voice just comes out. I really can't help it sometimes. It's just, you kind of like get into like the mode. You try to like sound like him, you know, his cadence and everything. Anyway, but I will say this about the relationship with dogs and growing up in the hood. Like, everything he said is absolutely true. Like, I remember when I was growing up, I grew up in the hood too, but there was this guy in my neighborhood who I swear was trying to mimic DMX, and just like the fact that he had this aggressive ass pit bull that everyone just knew, and he would walk around the neighborhood with him essentially like intimidating everybody. Like, I even remember a time when he got into like a fight with somebody, and his dog like jumped in too. Like, man, it was a crazy time. But everything he says about people being more afraid of dogs than guns, I think that's absolute facts. And I love dogs. So at some point during his childhood, I think around when he was 10, the issues with his mother got to a point where she couldn't really deal with him anymore. He had gotten too big for her. Beatings to work and grounding him wasn't really having much of an impact either. So at some point she resorted to like waiting till he fell asleep and then proceeding to beat him. like literally waited till he fell asleep. Like, things had gotten so bad that he had started to contemplate his own mother's murder. But he would quickly regret it because he obviously didn't want to hurt his mother. He was just really angry at her. But damn, that's some next level trauma, man. Like, shit. But it eventually got to the point where she just basically sent him into a group home. Like, and this, according to X, was when his incarceration began. And personally, for me, I think his incarceration started much earlier than that. But I get what he was saying. So over the next several years, he spent a lot of time in like group homes and as well as like surviving on the street by robbing people, because like when he was allowed to go back home, he didn't want to go back home. Like, he felt like it was better being on the street than dealing with the abuse and trauma at his mother's house. Just crazy. Just like robbing people. It was actually like during this time in the group homes that he started to like hone his craft, as like more and more kids started getting into hip hop culture. His friends were like all partaking in stuff related to hip hop, such as like breakdancing, tagging. That's like spraying your graffiti tags all over the place. It's called tagging. Rhyming, etc. So X felt he needed to find his own niche and he started beatboxing. At this point, he was like around 16 years old, and he figured he needed a name, right? DMX was actually the name of one of the best early drum machines that a lot of the kids were using. It was like the full name of it was the Oberheim DMX drum machine, essentially. So X's explanation for choosing this name was with the following. He was like, since I felt I was nice with the beats, I took that. It was strong, powerful. I liked the 3 letters and thought that it would be cool to make them stand for different things. So when I went back to Children's Village after my home visit, I was no longer Earl Simmons or even Crazy Earl. I was DMX. DMX, the beatbox enforcer. I really can't help it, man. I don't know. The voice is just we're just gonna roll with it, yo. All right, man. But don't you feel kind of bad hearing about a kid being called Crazy Earl? Like, as a kid, they're calling you Crazy Earl. Like, I don't even know, man. Like, because again, growing up in the hood, a lot of us had that dude in the neighborhood that just like wasn't fully mentally there, and usually they get that crazy moniker, the title Crazy whatever, like Crazy whoever, you know. For us in my neighborhood, we had a Crazy Mike. But the difference there was Mike was at least like a full grown man, and like not a kid that people would call crazy. So come on, like the fact that he just leaned into it, when people are calling him Crazy Earl, that's really sad, man. Like that's really sad to me. Anyways, back to our regular scheduled programming. DMX was the acronym. DMX, the acronym actually would be reinterpreted like several times over the years. Of course, you're aware of Darkman X or Dogman X, but some of you actually may be surprised to know that it originally stood for Divine Master of the Unknown. And while trying to master his beatboxing craft, he met a rapper that was about 10 years his elder, named Reddy Ron. And X said that Reddy Ron opened up a lot of different doors for him, and they were both able to make names for themselves in the underground hip hop scene. But of all the doors that Ron opened up for him, I personally don't think any of the doors were as impactful as the one that led to X's addiction to crack. Like the most tragic part of this is even how it was introduced to him. Like he was 14 at a party with Reddy Ron, celebrating a friend's birthday, and the group was passing around a joint, and it was offered. They offered it to X, who he refused at first, right? Because he suffered from asthma. So he's like, you can't really smoke, right? But then Reddy Ron took the joint and passed it to him. So like, you know, when you have like that older figure, or like that OG or that older brother figure that passes it to you, and then you just have that like, yo, I can't refuse if he's telling me to do it. Like, but just not knowing that this would be the first step into a life of addiction. Like, I mean, you never know, but it's just crazy. It's really crazy, I think. And his relationship with his mother was so bad that like he literally chose to crawl inside the clothing bins outside the Salvation Army because it was warm and no one would find him there, and his mother never even looked for him. So I don't know, man. Tragic life. Like it actually, and also X found or stole or rescued, I don't even know what to call it really, one of his first real dogs. He named him Blackie from a junkyard, and he somehow taught this dog like how to snatch things out of people's hands. So like, for example, because like X would rob a lot as a youth. Like he was heavy into the robbery game. There was an instance where a lady came up to them like, "Aw, what a cute dog!" And then she bent over to pet the dog, and Blackie just grabbed the purse right out of the woman's hands. And then both X and Blackie would just escape while the dog is just wagging its tail with the purse in its mouth in excitement. Like, but eventually X got so good at robbing people they didn't even care. Like, he didn't care for hustling or drug dealing. It wasn't his style. He simply just resorted to robbing. Maybe he really was Crazy Earl. But pretty much everyone and anyone, even the drug dealers themselves, like he would rob anyone. Nobody was off limits to him. And he even said in his book that 1985 was one of the best years of his life, in just that he had it was him and his dog, and like he was getting money, and you know, being young and dumb, you would think that, right? But then in 86, tragedy would strike again for him. Like, he'd gotten into it with one of his neighbors and basically chased the dude upstairs to his apartment, to the point where the neighbor's mom came out with a frying pan because she kept hearing Blackie barking at him. So X and Blackie, like, they just head back downstairs, and they were just posted up in front of the building. I guess one of the neighbors ended up calling the cops because the police came and instructed X to tie the dog to the fence and step away. Oh, you're not gonna like where this is going. X followed instructions and he was put in the back of the police cruiser. The dog pound handlers were called in, but they really couldn't control Blackie enough to like get him into the paddy wagon. So for whatever ridiculous reason, one of the handlers like nods to the officers, and boom, 2 shots later, it's R.I.P. Blackie. and like X ended up having to go to juvie for 2 years. The story behind this was kind of crazy because it was like a week after Blackie's death. He was so distraught and just angry at everything and everyone that he went to high school with a sawed-off shotgun taped to his leg. Like, it was, yeah, like under his pants, like taped to the leg. He was walking around like a cripple because it was so freaking big. It's a sawed-off shotgun. Like, what the heck are you doing with that? And he was like robbing people in the cafeteria, and like he didn't think that, like they thought he was bluffing, and he ended up robbing many people. But after all the people he robbed, he only made $4. Made $4 and then gets arrested after school. At this point, he's already addicted to yeah, by this point, he was also already addicted to woolies. That's the term that they used for weed that was like mixed with crack cocaine. They were called woolies. But long story short, he got arrested for that, and obviously that's when he started his 2-year bid in juvie. So now things are like starting to compound, right? Like, not only is he now robbing to like feed himself and keep some money in his pocket, but now he also had an addiction to feed. And if y'all know anything about dealing with an addict, you'll know that there's very little limits to the things that they're willing to do to feed the need. You know, like, he became the type of addict that you always see portrayed in movies. Like if you remember Chris Rock's character Pookie in New Jack City, or Jared Leto's character, I forgot the guy's name, in Requiem for a Dream. Like, essentially nothing would be off limits as long as it brought them closer to their next high. Like, X detailed in his book saying that it didn't matter to me. There was a voice in my head louder and more powerful than anything I had ever heard before, and it wouldn't stop yelling. I really can't help it. At this point, I'm just rolling with it. During one of his stints in incarceration, X had a lot of time to think about like a lot of different things, and one of those things being his career as a beatboxer, right? Because remember, he started out as DMX, the beatbox enforcer, and in his contemplations, he actually started asking himself like some very important questions. He was like, why was Ready Ron getting all the attention? It was like every time they did a show, girls were all over him. And as X would explain it, he would always get the flyest chick in the crowd. And at the best, I got to talk to Shorty's ugly sister and still had to beg all night for a kiss. Man, damn, X. Why they gotta be the ugly sister though? No, I'm stupid. Let me shut up. So at this point, X finally gained the resolve to like pursue a new path. And in a letter to his uncle, he told him, "Fuck the beatbox shit. I'm gonna be a rapper." So for the remainder of his stint, he honed his craft by like writing rhymes, and by the time he was released in '98, I think, he was like no longer DMX, the beatbox enforcer. He was now an MC by the name of DMX the Great. So let's fast forward a little bit to 92. X would have his first of what would eventually become 17 children. Bruh. Yeah, his firstborn, his name was Xavier. His name is Xavier. Xavier is his firstborn. And he actually later in life had a bit of a tumultuous relationship with him that kind of like blew up on the internet a little bit. If y'all remember, there was this show by this lady called Iyanla Save My Life, Iyanla Fix My Life, and the woman's name is Iyanla Van Zant. And DMX was featured on an episode, and it did not go very well at all. So DMX had originally agreed to be part of the show in an attempt to like salvage his relationship with his kids. It's like, it's always hard when dealing with a person that's not ready to heal themselves though, honestly. Like, Xavier basically requested that X stop doing drugs altogether in exchange for a relationship. See, I always have a problem with ultimatums. Like, I don't think ultimatums is really gonna like solve anything when you're giving somebody an ultimatum. At that point, you've already checked out. Like, to me, I feel like when you have to give somebody an ultimatum, you've already checked out, and you're giving them the type of ultimatum that you know they're not going to even accept. So, what was even the purpose of doing that? But anyways, sorry to get off on a different tangent. Like, basically he told him he has to stop doing drugs altogether in exchange for a relationship, and DMX like seemingly just turned down the request. Like, and in a later interview, Xavier actually detailed that he almost gave in when DMX told him that he should still have a relationship with him despite his drug use because he's not giving up drugs, which is wild. You're saying this to your firstborn son, that you're not giving up drugs, but you'd rather give up you're telling him that he should still have a relationship with you, but you refuse to give up drugs. So are you giving up on your kid? Like, I didn't really get that. But Xavier said in an interview, he was like, I almost gave in and gave him that hug, but I'm glad that Iyanla stepped in and said, no, you don't get that. This is about him, and you just can't ask for what you want. There's no more bullying here. I almost caved. I'm glad I didn't, because that would have been, okay, I'm fine with that. You not wanting to get clean to have a relationship with me. I'm not. I was mad. I was upset about that. It hurts. I would love to have a relationship with him. I'm like him in a lot of ways. And I'm fairly certain this interview that he did was like from 2013, but don't quote me on it. But man, that is deep, man. That if that doesn't hit your heartstrings, I don't know what will. But I just couldn't imagine how that feels, like having to set boundaries like that. This addiction is crazy. Like, the way X's traumas just like continue to compound, and the fact that he was like in so deep, but through his music he could like pull anyone out of the deepest, darkest places. Like, as gruff and aggressive as his lyrics were, he really did provide like a message. Like, example, the hook for the song Slippin'. That hook is so relatable for like anyone going through some tough situation. How'd it go? Like, hey yo, I'm slipping, I'm falling, I can't get up. Hey yo, I'm slipping, I'm falling, I can't get up. Hey yo, I'm slipping, I'm falling, I gots to get up, get back on my feet so I can tear shit up. Man. But now we all know DMX as a founding member in the Rough Riders Collective, right? Which was originally a family business that was started by two street hustlers named Wah and D, that X knew from around Yonkers, because he grew up around Yonkers. And they liked his style, so he became like their main artist. DMX also played like a pivotal role in discovering the Lox. You already know the members, you know, Sheik Luch, Styles P, Jadakiss. At the time, they were originally going by the moniker the Warlocks, but they couldn't sign. With Rough Riders because they were already in a management deal with a group called the Mushmen. And after some back and forth, like, Rough Riders were able to get them out of the Mushmen deal. And also, basically in '93, Rough Riders officially became their managers. And fun fact about the Lox, they actually have Mary J. Blige to thank for giving their music to P. Diddler, who then signed them to his up-and-coming Bad Boy Records label, while also renaming them to the Lox instead of the Warlocks, which I gotta say was good. That was a good marketing idea. Like, the Warlocks sounds so nerdy. No one can take you serious. You call yourselves the Warlocks, but the Lox, like, yo, that sounds hard, yo. Yeah. So with the Lox signed to Bad Boy, and of course, you know, the legendary run that Bad Boy had from like '93 to '98. There was nobody really stopping them. So DMX, who hasn't even signed yet, even though he was managed by Rough Riders before the Locks were. Also wasn't really doing as well on his side. Like his single "Born Loser" that was released in '92 didn't really do all that well. And Def Jam as a label was on the verge of like falling off entirely. Then a young brother by the name of Irv Gotti, a young DJ, I should say. You probably heard of him before. He helped X sign a deal with Def Jam, and so by '98 now, DMX had dropped like his first 2 classic albums. It was It's Dark and Hell It's Hot. Sorry, It's Dark and Hell Is Hot, and Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood. Funny story with Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood was actually one of my first rap albums that I ever personally listened to. Like for me growing up, I didn't really get into rap music until like I stole Tupac and DMX CDs from my older sister's room one day. Because I wanted to see what the hype was all about. Because like my cousins and all my older siblings were listening to hip hop and stuff, and I was just into like Michael Jackson and R&B and stuff. So yeah, I just wanted to see what the hype was about, you know. But actually, to this day, one of my favorite DMX songs was the song "We Don't Give a Fuck" featuring Jadakiss. I remember the first time I ever heard that chorus, I was just hooked. How did it go again? It was used to be my dog, you was in my left titty. Scream, ride or die, thought you would die with me. Found out you a bitch, you can't even ride with me. Now it's a war, you ain't on the side with me. I was also really fascinated by the way he told stories in the song trilogy Damien. Like so basically Damien is a story with characters, like all the characters are voiced by DMX. So he does like he kind of does like himself, like his own voice, and when he does Damien's voice, he kind of sounds like this. What you saying, shorty? He talked like this. This is Damien's voice. And then he also, it was really cool. So basically, it highlights the relationship between DMX and a character named Damien, with whom he makes a deal with, which involves like committing acts of violence in return for fortune and fame. And turns out that this Damien that DMX has been conversing with is in fact the devil in disguise, right? Luring DMX with fame and fortune as a rapper, only to try to make DMX do things he doesn't agree with Damien later trying to convince DMX to shoot one of his own friends. So like this, the Damien story takes part over like 3 albums, I'd say. So like It's Dark and Hell Is Hot was Damien, part 1, and then I think Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood was Damien part 2. It was actually called, the track was called The Omen. And then I don't remember which album was the one where he had Damien 3, where it completes the whole story. But it's actually really dope because what was it on Damien, like the original one, the first one? Like I actually really like the way the verse goes. Like it was like how did it go? Why is it every move I make turns out to be a bad one? Where's my guardian angel? Need one, wish I had one. I'm right here, shorty, and I'ma hold you down. You trying to fuck all these bitches? I'ma show you how. But who? Name D like you, but my friends call me Damien, and I'ma put you hip to something about the game that we in. You and me, we could take it there, and you'll be hot. Oh my God, that was atrocious. Wow, what am I doing? I was trying to do the Damien voice, but also at the same time hit the cadence of the rhyme. So it's like, why is it every move I make turns out to be a bad one? Where's my guardian angel? Need one, wish I had one. I'm right here, shorty, and I'm gonna hold you down. You trying to fuck all these bitches? I'm gonna show you how. But who? Name D like you, but my friends call me Damien, and I'm gonna put you hip to something about this game we in. You and me, we could take it there. You'll be the hottest nigga ever living. That's a given. You'll see. That's all I wanted all my life. All right. That's enough rapping and rhyming. All right, back to it, guys. For those that know me personally though, like they know that I actually love when a rap can like visually tell you a story. Like I mean, there's probably something to be said for a kid listening to that type of music at like age 10. years old. I think I was 10 around the time. I don't remember. But that's besides the point. Like, the chorus of the song is prominent in like all three parts of the story as it goes. The snake, the rat, the cat, the dog. How you gonna see him when you living in the fog? I'll say that for you again. The snake, the rat, the cat, the dog. How you gonna see them when you living in the fog? It's crazy. So 98 was a big year for Def Jam artists. Like, not only did DMX have the hottest album out that year, but he was also label mates with Jay-Z and a young Ja Rule, who were taking New York by storm, essentially. Remember how I mentioned Irv Gotti earlier, like helping X sign with Def Jam? Well, Irv was also like the driving force behind the supergroup that would be known as Murder Inc., which consisted of DMX, Jay-Z, and Ja Rule. That actually sounds like a fire lineup. Like, holy crap. But the three of them together actually did appear on the cover of Double XL magazine in 1999. And but you know, the group never actually put out an album together, but they did have several different collaborations together. And for me personally, my absolute favorite collab track was Blackout on DMX's Flesh of My Flesh album. It featured all the Lox members. So you had Sheik, Styles, and Jada, and it had Jay-Z on it. Man, everyone killed their verse on that song. Like, I think it would have been dope if Ja Rule was able to get on the track too, but it was definitely a top tier song for me. Like, the way Jay just comes in swinging on his verse, yeah, I'm a monster. I sleep whole winters, wake up and spit summers. Ghetto nigga, putting up Will Smith numbers. Surrounded by sixes and Hummers. Bitches among us, trying not to let this bullshit become us. Ay, yo. Jeez. But I also loved the way X's verse was like saved for the last, because you really listened to like every word he said, and just comes in swinging too, like, I'm headed nowhere fast, running in place, gun in my waist. Niggas wanted a taste, but wouldn't come to my face. So what that mean? You cats playing games again. So what I do? Start naming names again. What? I mean, just pure fire. Like, look at me fanboying out right now. Like, it was fire. So the reason Murder Inc. didn't actually like work out though is because beefs. Obviously, like, it's rap. It's always beefs and misunderstandings. Like, come on. I remember reading an interview with Jay-Z from like Hip Hop DX a few years back, where he basically states exactly why things didn't work out. And Jay said, I think it was everyone's ambition and everyone's ego. It was just three guys, three independent labels, three black men who were all fighting to be the best in the world. Like, me and X had like a thing. He was always super competitive with me. I was super competitive at that time as well. Ja was just happy to be in the room at the time, and he hadn't become the Ja Rule that we all come to know and love. So that sounds pretty crazy. So in 1999, when Ja Rule dropped his debut album, Veni Vidi Vici, everyone who heard it literally had the same opinion. Like, yo, this guy sounds like DMX. And I actually might have to do a deep dive on the career of Ja Rule, because at some point too, like, I really should do it at some point, because he does have an interesting story. Like, he switched up his style so many times over the years. At one point, he mimicked Tupac's sound, then DMX's sound. I think there was like one more style that he kind of copied, but I am probably forgetting. But let's not get off topic here. We're talking about DMX. So some of you guys might remember this story when it went down. But DMX was also like an excellent actor. Like, I actually enjoyed watching all the movies he was in, because he did an amazing job in Belly. Like, he stole the show. Like, Nas, not so much. Like, Nas was super stiff in Belly. It was so bad. Rewatching Belly now, I'm like, oh my god, Nas, what the hell are you doing, man? You're horrible. But DMX like embodied his role perfectly. It's like he just knew what to do. Like, maybe he was just being himself. maybe that was actually Crazy Earl. Maybe his character in Belly really was Crazy Earl. Except like he like shot people and stuff in the movie. But anyways, so during the filming of the movie Exit Wounds in 2001 with Steven Seagal, shout outs to Steven Seagal, which at the time was being filmed here in Toronto. While down here, apparently X had like, he kind of like built a rapport with some of the like the local dealers in the city to like purchase some illicit drugs. All right, to purchase crack from them, guys. Okay, like he built a rapport so he could like buy crack from the dealers. Right? I even know the area that it was too, but I'm not even gonna say it here. It's just one of those if you know type of things, right? Because he was able to successfully do this multiple times, right, during the filming without incident. However, on one occasion, it wasn't even on one occasion because I think it was like over time, like every time that he would like thing. It just like during filming, he just would be like very disrespectful and like talk down to the guys and just think Canadians were all soft and whatever, right? So one day he just basically got robbed. Like they took his jewelry, they took his money. And I think there was also a rumor, apparently, like after X got robbed, that he came back to the hood with like a whole caravan of like of Escalades, like with dudes in Escalades, and obviously he didn't find nobody. Like nobody's gonna come out the house after they robbed DMX. Are you crazy? But ever since then, DMX has had this, I feel like he's had this weird kind of animosity towards Toronto and Canada in general. Like, you know what's funny? I think his animosity for the city is what kind of played a role in his dislike for Drake. Like there was a Breakfast Club interview from a few years ago where he's like going off on Drake, saying he doesn't like his voice. Yo, he even said he doesn't like his haircut. Yo, DMX is low-key hilarious, man. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. Like, that's actually funny. Actually, I think I might have that clip. Let me see if I can pull up that clip.
What about Drake? You like Drake?
No.
My man.
He didn't even say a little bit. He didn't even say halfway.
That's my guy right there.
No.
That's why X is necessary in the game right there.
Man. Now, why don't you like Drake? I don't like anything about Drake. I don't like his voice. I don't like what he talks about. I don't.
See, I be trying to tell his face.
I don't like the way he walks. Like nothing. I don't like his haircut. I might just let me shut up.
Converted to a Drake fan yet?
No, not at all. Not happening.
What do you think about the new Aaliyah album now?
Well,
Drake
Drake's
is supposed to be
working on
executive producing it.
And he hasn't contacted Missy or Timberland, to be honest.
It's disrespectful. Like that don't even make sense. See, that's what I'm saying. Like you can't do shit like that. That's like wrong, man. It's like, man, I wish it was like maybe 10 years ago where, you catch the elevator, beat him up. Man, just let him know, like, it's real, son.
He's not going to catch Drake in no elevator by himself anyway. That's
he ain't got to be by himself. Like, that's not a problem. Like,
You're
talking to DMX. Yeah, we wolfed out in this joint, son. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this guy's funny, man. But yeah, really and truly, I just wanted to highlight for everyone the fact that as legendary a figure he became, he was still human. Like, he was still flawed. He was not a myth. Like, he truly did live what I would consider an anointed life, even though it sounds opposite of like what you would think of when you think of someone who's anointed, right? But I mean, like, in the sense that he was able to touch so many people, right? And unfortunate as his addictions and traumas and struggles were, he wasn't able to like save himself. And I think humanizing him actually allows, like, it gives us the space for us to like connect with him a little better. Like, especially if it's something that you or someone close to you is struggling with. Sometimes we all need to find like a kindred spirit that has experienced like the things that we have, for us to really get that motivation or that understanding that we're not forever alone, and perhaps we ourselves are anointed ones that just haven't unlocked that door yet. Perhaps. I mean, like, perhaps we're all divine masters of the unknown, right? But with that being said, I'm signing off. Salute to the outro. Peace.